Hi, Mama. My name is Anya, and welcome to the Soft Life Experiment. This is week one, and for the entire year of 2026, I am proving that I can have it all by living softly and by following my values, not my to do list. I was tired of living a life that felt like I was in hustle mode all the time and never felt like I could actually accomplish everything. Women, especially moms, are fed the lie that we cannot have it all, or that in order for us to have it all, we have to choose. We have to sacrifice something. We can't have the career and have a healthy marriage with a beautiful man that loves and supports us. That we can't be conscious mothers and parents and have a career. Or we can't have a career and be a conscious parent and have the relationship. Like something's always got to give. And let's not even talk about the self care because that's always the last thing on our list. Like that is the furthest thing from our minds because we're so used to holding up everyone else. And so I want to really debunk the myth that we can't have it all. I truly believe that by living softly and by creating a life that is aligned with your values and the values of the woman that you want to become, you will design a life that feels good and allows you to carry everything that you're asking for because God don't make mistakes, okay? What you're asking for, what you want is seeking you, and you just have to have the space and capacity to hold it. So here I am proving it for an entire year. Now, we're kicking off week one with vulnerability in relationships. If you haven't already seen my intro video where I break down in detail how the Soft Life Experiment works, go ahead and watch the video right now. It's a quick video. I'll link in the description box below. But just as a quick recap, what I'm doing is breaking down the entire year into 4 quarters. And the 4 quarters represent the 4 areas of my life in which I really want to see some growth in, like relationships, parenting and mothering, self-care, and work-life balance. These are the big areas for me. And so each quarter is then going to be broken down into weekly values. And each week I'm going to choose a new value that I'm going to live by and use that to really fuel my progression over the year. So again, check out the intro video if you haven't already because it covers this in full detail. However, this week is week one, and I am starting off with relationship as my first quarter and vulnerability as my first week. Oh my gosh. This was the scariest value for me to choose. Like, if I'm being real and I'm like really being honest with you guys, I have a fear of being seen, which seems kind of ironic because I'm on YouTube right now, right? Yeah, I have a fear of truly being seen by people who love me and know me. And I feel like if they know the real me, then they're not going to want to be my friend. Like they're not going to be around me anymore. And this is insane. When I'm talking about my personal relationship with this man, I've been in a relationship with this man for about 4 years now, and I've known him my entire life. And yet, that fear of I still can't be fully authentic or I still can't show up all the time as I am, or just be truly vulnerable and let him see the softest, rawest, most insecure parts of myself without him looking at me some kind of way. Now, this man loves me. I'm going to tell you right now, my man is freaking amazing. I love him to death and he loves me. And I know this in all the things. So, babe, if you're watching, know that I love you. However, there is this fear within me and it's a me thing. And so I decided to start this year with being vulnerable because that was the scariest thing for me to even think of doing. Okay. In order to show up vulnerably with anyone, it takes courage. And honestly, when I started this experiment, I wasn't sure if I had enough courage to start this, but I am jumping both feet in. I'm ready to do this. I am ready to see how this goes and commit. All right. So here's how this week went. I was fully committed to showing up vulnerably, being intentional about sharing all of my feelings, about being as raw and honest as possible for this whole week. Like, I'm not sure if it's something that was written in the stars this week or if the end of 2025, like that leftover energy was just kind of funneling into this week because I had a rough week, you guys. Like, I mean, it was rough. We argued almost every single day from Sunday to Sunday. Okay. And it was like big things, small things, finances, kids. We talk about dishes and cleaning. And you said this and I said that. And it was like nitpicking. And it was so uncomfortable. And I was feeling like we could not get on the same page to save my life. Like no matter what we talked about, we were always on opposite ends. And I just felt like by the end of the week, I was at my breaking point. It felt like the more that we argued, the more I resisted being vulnerable. My body was telling me, nope, shut down. It's time to shut down because you feel like you're being attacked, you feel like you're being threatened, you don't feel safe, and you don't feel safe enough to share. You don't feel safe enough to really show up vulnerably. So I showed as defensive, which, to be honest, probably made the argues continue because he's getting defensive, I'm getting defensive, he's getting defensive, I'm getting defensive. And now we're doing like this tit for tat thing, and the arguments are spiraling and they're getting out of control and they're just getting worse and keep happening because we're both in our defensive modes and we're both feeling unsafe. But all of this was happening out of a fear of not wanting to be hurt. And that's the scary part about being vulnerable. Like, you have a risk of being hurt because you're putting yourself out there, you're exposing yourself. And that's the fear, exposing yourself. So after our last argument, which was like on Saturday, I was so overstimulated. I was so overwhelmed. I needed to take some space. I went to a friend's house, and I think it was like the fresh air, the new perspective, like just the new environment that made me feel relaxed enough to actually share with her. And so I wound up being vulnerable to my friend and telling her what was going on and was open to hearing what she had to say. And by the time I left, it was like, okay, I feel regulated again. My system feels safe enough to just breathe. Like, I shared the hard things that I wanted to get off my chest in a normal way. And so now I feel like I can go do that again. It gave me a little bit more confidence. It gave me just enough courage to go take it on to my man, right? And to be honest, like, talking with my friend was helpful, but it was still uncomfortable. So like, just because I went over there, I didn't know if I was going to share anything, but having her support made me feel just comfortable enough to be able to open up a little bit and talk about my relationship problems. But it wasn't as scary as if I had held them in, which is what I probably would have been doing because I knew where that was going to lead. And I was able to just relax enough to speak from the heart. And I believe that's where true vulnerability begins, like really speaking from your heart, connecting with your heart center, and not letting the fear get in the way. Like, I can't be vulnerable if I'm closing myself off from another person. That's literally the opposite of what I'm trying to do. So I'm grateful that she was there. Shout out to my best friend here in Atlanta because she definitely did help me. Um, and after I took some space, I was able to go back home and just talk with him. But this time it was completely different. Like, we didn't fight, we didn't argue, we didn't run from each other. Like, we just sat there and heard each other out. We were able to take up space in a loving and positive way. And that's what I needed. We didn't have like a million walls to break through. No one was yelling, no one was screaming. Like, it felt like we were both able to now have some peace and just be able to talk because we were showing up vulnerably. And from this space, this vulnerable space, we were able to actually start repairing the pain, repairing the damage that had been done over the past week because we were now able to see each other and connect to each other. This week taught me just how easy it is for me to get defensive in an argument and how I use it as a defense mechanism when I feel like I'm threatened or unsafe. I saw just how afraid I am not to be seen as strong or confident or capable or put together. Like, I need to feel this way in order to feel comfortable. Or at least that's what I thought. Being vulnerable strips me of all the masks that I wear that keeps me safe, that makes me feel comfortable. And it puts me in, well, a vulnerable position, in a vulnerable situation with the other person. Revealing yourself is completely scary. It is foreign. It is, it makes you anxious, but it's also the only way for someone to truly connect to you because you are now truly connecting to them. You are showing them all of you and not just the parts that you want them to see. True connection, I now believe, starts with showing the most vulnerable, purest parts of yourself and being able to hold that space confidently. I also learned that being vulnerable is not an on-off switch. Like, you can't just turn it on when you feel like it and then turn it back off. Like, it's something that you really just kind of commit to. And once you start, it's really hard to stop. So I found that surprising too. For example, I was trying to force my way into a vulnerable state with my man when we were already in a heightened state of stress and survival mode. And so it wasn't working. But the minute that I gave myself some space, the minute that I was like, okay, let me take a break and come back in a regulated way, my nervous system felt safe enough, it was regulated to do so, I was able to be vulnerable with him. I was able to be vulnerable with my friend. I think that being vulnerable is something that has to be intentional. And the more that we do it, it becomes like a muscle. Like, the more we use it, the easier it becomes to us, the more natural it feels, the easier it is for you to put the reps in. And so you just have to keep practicing and keep doing it in order to feel more comfortable with it. And I think That's why when I went to my friend first and then back to my man, it was easier for me to go to my man and have that conversation that we needed to have from a vulnerable state. And then in general, like coming from that vulnerable state is what's going to help create that softer life, because you'll feel like you don't have to fight your way all the time. You don't have to hide who you are to get what you want, because you are showing up as you are. 100%. So looking back, if I had to do things differently, I probably would have taken a time out a long time ago, like long before the arguments got so heated. It literally, let me see, I went to my friend's house on Saturday. I started the experiment the Sunday before. So it literally took me almost an entire week to get to a place of vulnerability, and I was trying so hard. And so looking back, I definitely would have went to take a time out way earlier before the arguments got that bad. Like, we are generally pretty chill people, and the fact that our arguments were so bad that week, it scared me. And it also exposed just how much we were holding in for so long. It's not that we didn't love each other. It's not that we were, really angry. We were just hurt. And that hurt was just creating resentment and festering and making more pain. And it was hard. It was hard for the both of us. And then we kept triggering each other and re-triggering each other because we were so hurt. Like, honestly, we should have taken a time out. The constant re-triggering of our pain points is what kept us in survival mode for so long, which kept fueling the argument. And the more that we felt unsafe, the more we felt triggered, the more we put up walls and kept our distance. And the farther away vulnerability got. So from now on, I am committed to showing up vulnerably, even when it scares me. I'm asking myself, will sharing this with the other person bring me closer to them or farther away? Am I speaking from the most vulnerable parts of myself, or am I withholding in some way? You see, if the people around me truly love me, then I have to be willing to share all parts of me and know that I'll be accepted, because otherwise, those weren't my people. Going into next week's value, which is communication, I think that the vulnerability was actually preparing me to have more tough conversation and just get used to showing up in a less defensive state overall, being able to share what I need to say and expose myself and all my insecurities and still be able to hold my ground. Our relationship felt a lot lighter once we were able to actually have a real conversation, because we were really showing up for each other. And when we both unburden ourselves from all the weight that we've been carrying for so long, and all the resentment and all the hurt and all the pain and all the things that we were holding on to so tightly, and chose to finally be vulnerable with each other, it also gave me the confirmation that truly being seen allows me to have more confidence in who I am, and I don't need to fight to be more all the time. Like, just being me is enough. And it is okay to share me with the world just as I am. So after this week, here's my best mom advice for you. When you think of vulnerable, think safety. Remind yourself that your protection comes from being safe enough to be who you are and share from the most vulnerable parts of yourself. That's how we create lasting connection with each other and the people around us. Being defensive is what's going to create more distance. It's what's going to create more barriers for us in our relationships. So I challenge you to identify one person in your life that you have been withholding from, meaning you have not shown up in an authentic way, that you refuse to be vulnerable with, okay? One person in your life, identify that person and choose to share from a vulnerable state with them. Anything that you've been holding back, just choose to share with them. And then see how quickly you can then go from that conversation to a state of repair, to a state of ease in your relationship. See how much lighter you feel, okay? Next week, I'm challenging myself to improve my communication in my relationship. And you will not want to miss that episode of the Soft Life Experiment. So go ahead and click that subscribe button and the notifications bell so you do not miss any of my upcoming content. I post new videos about the Soft Life Experiment every Sunday. And I cannot wait to see you ladies in the next video. Bye.